Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is the worst film by Martin McDonagh. By a mile. And I liked it. It's really solid, but there's just several little things that restrain it from being nearly as good as it could be. With that said, our boy McDonagh is first and foremost a writer, so naturally the greatest disparity in quality from his other works is in the script. I like the plot. It's very engaging, it progresses naturally, and is satisfyingly cohesive while remaining open-ended in a way that promotes discussion. There are several moments of glaring convenience and poor character logic, but they are small complaints, and overall, plot's great, no major issues here. A greater problem is one of tone. Martin's previous films have very set-in-stone moods that are fully realized, and the experiences are better for it. In Bruges is melancholic, a bit dreary. Any humor in its screenplay complements this, being dark and cynical and coming from a place of fear and unease within its characters. On the contrary, Seven Psychopaths is very light, very carefree, very direct. It is very much a comedy first, yet it maintains tension by sprinkling just enough genuineness in its characters, keeping the audience fully invested. Three Billboards tries to have the tone of In Bruges and the style of comedy portrayed in Seven Psychopaths, with more tangential humor and, dare I say, quippy dialogue. But the world it creates is supposed to be one of passionate emotional downpour, one at least partially rooted in the hyperreal, one in which the characters are fully committed to their actions within the story, that they take what they're doing very seriously. And when you have them go against that by spitting an out-of-place zinger, it suggests that they aren't totally invested in their goals, which in turn makes the audience less invested in their goals. It even breaks the immersion of the experience in a way, since there's no way a character in this environment would reasonably say some of the things that several people do in this film. Sam Rockwell's entire character is almost completely reduced to one big joke in the first half of the runtime, which is a shame because after that he quickly grows to be the best part of the movie. In fact, this entire issue fades away nearly altogether in the second half. In that time, the film fully realizes and commits to a tone, but this doesn't undo the problems of the first half. The characters are more or less all well written. The three main Jimmies are extremely multifaceted with highly compelling and satisfying arcs, and even a lot of the less developed supporting cast are interesting and entertaining in their own right. They also contribute very nicely to the film's overarching theme of portraying human morality on a scale of infinite gray. Every one of these people does a heaping pile of questionable things throughout the course of the flick, but rarely without completely reasonable motivation. Acting's all over the place. Woody Harrelson is great as always, Frances McDormand is fantastic, Sam Rockwell is absolutely stellar, and Caleb Landry Jones is very much in the running for Hot Boy of the Year. But most everyone else ranges from decent to bad. Catherine Newton is in here for about 40 seconds, and she does not leave the best impression. John Hawkes is tolerable for the most part, but there's one scene in which he's trying real hard. A bit too much, in fact. Though to be fair, in this instance, the script does not give him a whole lot to work with. Peter Dinklage does exactly what he needs to. Honestly, he doesn't really even need to be in this movie. His character could have been written out entirely and it would not have bared that much change on the story as a whole. And his character is fine, but several of his introductory lines are awful, and the way he goes about delivering them amplifies this by about 20 times. Amanda Warren, Abby Cornish, Daryl Britt Gibson, they're all solid. And then we got our boy Lucas Hedges over here. Watching Lucas in this film is an experience I grew from, and the same can safely be said about many other viewers. There are a few scenes in which he is adequate, but for the most part, everything he does is absurdly overacted in a way that doesn't even at all contribute to the identity of his character. It becomes painfully obvious that Master Hedges is far more trained in the world of acting on the stage than doing so for the screen. As maybe some of this would be okay in a theatrical production, but when put to film, it's pretty embarrassing, and he even tries to incorporate several blatantly obvious and gloriously unconvincing character quirks, not unlike those I attempted to utilize during my high school freshman year production of Almost Maine. I enjoy most everything else. Carter Burwell's soundtrack is alright, the direction's solid, cinematography's fine, if nothing too extraordinary. I want to stress that the script is really good for essentially the entire second half, and there are like 3 scenes in this movie that are amazing in every regard. I just wish that the movie had less of what bogs down its earlier parts, and I really think that absolutely could have happened. The potential was there, but what we got is a film only mostly good. Though apparently I'm the only person on the face of the earth to have this opinion, so you can just feel free to disregard it entirely, I'm not gonna get offended. 6 out of 10.